K-pop Demon Hunters. If you're somehow not familiar with the name, you've been living under a rock. This movie dominated cinema talks and pop culture headlines, and they wouldn't dare to let you forget about it. For an animated fantasy movie that would go on to have a huge impact on today's younger generation, it was truly one of a kind. I mean, come on. An animated kids film about K-pop made by Sony Pictures Animation? Then they used to make the Miles Morales films? What the hell is this? It may not seem like it now, but when it was announced, this had monumental flop written all over it. When I first heard about it, I thought the idea felt really gimmicky, that this shouldn't have been this big of a box office and critical success. I'd completely understand it if you wouldn't give this a chance, but when I first watched this, it really stuck with me. Not because it was derivative Eastern media slop, or because I couldn't be invested in the story. That's 100% false. I thought it was joyful, I thought it was hilarious, I vibed to the music, the story honestly left me stunned. But above all, I couldn't help but notice what this movie was truly representing. I should have seen it coming from Sony Pictures Animation after all. But a K-pop fantasy with this much emotional depth is absurd to think about. And what I mean is this. Beneath the surface of demon hunters using the power of their voices to save humanity lies a story that aims to shed light on the true horrors of the K-pop industry. The bright, vibrant colors, ridiculous facials, and the contagious dialogue that fully embraces the goofy nature it's living in make it, in a perfect world, what K-pop should be celebrated for. But there is more to it than most people would like to admit. For a mainstream kids movie, it's quite impressive. Huntrix bonds together through their love of music, the admiration of their fans, and their happy-go-lucky chemistry when they're together. They work and fight hard to reach the top of the charts, and they're out here killing demons with swords and blades. Huntrix are special kinds of idols, demon hunters, fighting for more than just stardom. They've been chosen to save the souls of humanity from an ongoing demon invasion. They're conditioned by now-retired hunter Celine to protect the world from the evil doings of Guima to create the Golden Hunmoon, a burden that has spanned numerous generations and one that comes with severe complexities. Your fears and faults must never be seen. No matter the pressure, no matter what weaknesses you may have on the inside, maintain the clean-cut and valiant image people love you for, cause anything less than that, one way or another, will break you. Being an idol leads people on a perfectionist path, never being allowed to embrace human imperfections, and it eats them alive. Praise to the masses and treated like superheroes, yes. But you gotta remember, they're still functioning members of society. And we all know how society ruthlessly overcritiques anything they set their eyes on. People generalize and define each other, no matter how big or small their qualities may be. K-pop is no different, it's only widely displayed for the entire world to notice. The idea of sticking to the status quo is taken to the extremes in K-pop and in most Asian cultures that highly value social credit. Idols are bound to be judged in arbitrary cultures that are unwilling to accept anything beyond the conventions of what they're familiar with. What you stand for, what you represent, where you're from, if you're not fully the same, you have to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. Justified or not, it's harsh, and Asians like me deal with it all the time. The idol image is far from enough to differentiate from the common human, but it's what the K-pop system will choose to push for regardless. No one carries this pressure more than Roomie. Celine accepted her as a hunter, knowing since her youth the demon patterns that she keeps secret from everyone around her, which is only able to be removed once the Golden Hunmoon is sealed. With all the love and success that comes with being part of Huntrix, Roomie's still not able to take pride in herself, as Celine makes it clear to her that she'll carry this weight on her shoulders until her patterns disappear.
Nothing can change until your patterns are gone.
Roomie rushing the release of Golden doesn't seem all that odd at first, but it's in the middle of a break that Zoe and Mira achingly crave. Usual moves of a strict K-pop leader, but done for the sole purpose of getting one step closer to fixing herself. Cracks start to thwart her plans, however, when Roomie loses her voice in the build-up to the first performance of Golden, and it shows how Roomie is easily broken once things don't start going to plan. It forces the performance to be delayed, slowing down the momentum of sealing the Hunmoon. It's only then that Guima begins to strike.
A demon boy band? What makes you think that could work?
Enter the Saja Boys, a boy band of demons disguised as the next big thing in K-pop. They burst onto the scene with their new single Soda Pop, and everyone can't help but jump on the bandwagon. Their aura is off the charts, the music is infectious, and this group manages to steal away fans from Huntrix. Huntrix is quick to notice their demon characteristics when they run into each other, so they have to act quickly. The three girls try to strike an attack on the Saja boys, and they're successful at first, but a sudden confrontation between Roomie and Jinu is where the story takes a big turn. Jinu accidentally discovers Roomie's patterns, which Roomie is quick to cover up, but he can't seem to forget. It may be what you think on the surface, but there's clearly something odd. Jinu talks with Roomie in private and reveals that he's also part demon and part human, who was stuck living a poor life with his family in the streets until he heard voices in his head that told him to go down a path that would turn him into a prisoner of Guima, and now he has nothing left but the shame of a failure. Roomie tries her best to deny the facade shown by her patterns, and she pushes forward with her strategy in the build-up to the Idol Awards, which is now a head-to-head performance battle. It kind of feels like Huntrix is less motivated but more pressured, and it shows when they decide to add fuel to the fire by writing a diss track named Takedown, and this is when their recklessness starts to catch up to them. Takedown is a song that deviates from what Huntrix stands for. An edgier sound, hateful lyrics, with the intention to divide instead of unite. The tension during the writing process is what hurts Roomie's relationship with Zoe and Mira, knowing that this plan could definitely blow up in their faces. The cracks begin to show when Roomie starts to sympathize with Jinu, along with the two groups being responsible for each other's growing popularity.
When your patterns start to show, I see a pain that lies below.
And this causes Mira to grow frustrated at what her leader is going through when Roomie questions if Takedown is the right song to sing at the Idol Awards. She knows that she has to be cautious, especially when, in her eyes, the Idol Awards performance has to be a success for Huntrix. And so once again, she gets desperate. She calls up Jinu to orchestrate a plan, and convince him to follow another path that will guarantee him a better life. Purposely sabotage the Saja boy's performance so that the honeymoon gets sealed, and he gets to be free from his demons in the human world. Knowing what's at stake, this would be something that seems ridiculous to accept on the surface. But what Jinu can learn from this is something that she helped Roomie realize.
There's your answer. Hopeless.
That's the funny thing about hope. Nobody else gets to decide if you feel it. That choice belongs to you.
Meanwhile, the honeymoon is tearing apart. Mira and Zoe continue to question Roomie's growing frustrations with the direction they're taking. She's no longer the fierce leader they once loved, and tensions are at an all-time high. All this self-doubt is what happens when the only key to success is succumbing to the harsh expectations that everyone puts on you. The stakes for both her and Jinu could not be any higher, but maybe, just maybe, they could make something good of it. And this heated rivalry, now an unexpected bond, both not trying to be defined by their past failures, with one common goal, to set their souls free. This bond becomes the one thing that could possibly heal them. Jinu can finally see a sign of hope, one that tells him that he can free himself from the demons of his past. However, as they say, you can't put a band-aid on a bullet wound. Jinu chose to leave his family. He chose to listen to the voices for a life full of glitz and glamour. And Guimon knows this. It's the one thing he uses to take advantage of Jinu, doing so by threatening to strengthen the voices that he can't escape. This is how Guima represents the system of K-pop at its most ruthless. Built on a strict, strategic structure that will affect the careers of artists by keeping them on a pedestal, desperately choosing to compete to stay relevant, with no regard for time or authenticity, leading groups on a painful downfall where they begin to lose grasp of what made them special. As Huntrix step onto the Idol Awards stage for Golden, Roomie can finally taste it, that the end is near, her dreams could come true, that the honeymoon can finally be sealed. And then Takedown suddenly plays. Roomie loses control of herself. Demon versions of Zoe and Mira are sent out to ruin the performance, on a mission to make Roomie's life a living hell. And shockingly, Roomie's demon patterns, at her biggest peak, are revealed to the world. Jinu went back on his promise, and the facade can no longer be hidden. The Saja boys win the Idol Awards, and as fast as Huntrix rose, their breakup comes at the speed of light. K-pop becomes a hollow excuse of what it once was. All the remaining fans can do is be alienated as the Saja boys show their true colors. From vibrant boy band attire to a dark and intimidating presence, channeling the traditional Korean Grim Reaper they're named after. Harbingers of death, ready to take K-pop to their version of hell. Just like in any music industry, there'll be fans who succumb to whatever act the unrelenting system forces onto them, even when they have nothing to show for it. This system convinces you that they're all you need. They're shoved down your throat, and you grow accustomed to it whether you like it or not. The pride is stronger than ever. The Saja boys are their only idols, even if their success was purely artificial. All that's left of humanity is hollow, souls taken over by demons that can do nothing but consume slop. Celine's character becomes even more heartbreaking as she watches her chosen one's demon hunter hopes fall flat. Roomie's ashamed of what she had to go through, and now there's no denying what her patterns represent. It'll always be a part of her. Celine still desperately tries to cover Roomie up, even when her vision of the true demon hunter is impossible to come to fruition. How fears and faults will never be seen, and that has always been damning. There's the simple idea that one may be good, one may be evil, but Celine, truth be told, is no different from Guima. They both reinforce the same system that makes their clients' lives a living hell. And for Roomie, her situation was too much, one that a brutal tradition could no longer fix. Despite Celine's good intentions, she's never accepted Roomie's shortcomings. This harsh love is all Celine knew, but Roomie couldn't seal the honeymoon by expressing a version of herself that she's not. So when she leaves Celine hanging, it's unfortunately understandable, because no idol is fully clean cut. No idol is a superhero. No idol doesn't fear. No idol hasn't made mistakes. But that will never show you the full picture. Every idol strives to express their truest self, even with the flaws they possess.
Fix the world and make it right. When darkness finally meets the light.
Nothing but the truth now.
What it sounds like becomes the group's most defiant performance. It's where they let out everything they needed to say. Roomie is able to reunite with Zoe and Mira to fight till the very end. They refuse to give in, even with the odds seemingly insurmountable. Unfortunately for them, Guima is not one to show mercy, firing a beam of light directly at Roomie that's so powerful it can't be easily warded off with her sword. But just when it seems like the voices are too strong to handle, Jinu does the ultimate sacrifice to offer the fragments of his flawed soul to the one who set him free. The burden Roomie faced in saving Jinu ends in tragedy, but he's finally free from his traumatic past, channeling his soul through Roomie, forever connecting them both, and granting her and Huntrix the power they need to finally conquer Guima. And at last, the golden honeymoon has finally been sealed. The demon hunters showed what was underneath, found their harmony, and found themselves at their strongest form, fearless and undefined by their own scars. It's remarkable to see how K-pop demon hunters left you with more than the typical lesson of not letting anyone leave you in shame, of being proud of your truest self. Through the story they tell, the bumps in the road the characters take, the numerous bits of Korean culture and folklore that they build around, this was one hell of a way to tell an extremely relevant story for one of the biggest industries in music. And it really couldn't be expressed through just another generic gimmicky kids movie. And no, I don't call this generic in the slightest. K-pop Demon Hunters comes with something to prove, and what you get is a representation of a reality that is compassionate, chaotic, absurd, and full of hauntingly beautiful desperation. Never afraid to shake things up, never afraid to poke fun at itself, never afraid to eat you alive. It is so brutally honest when no one else expected it to be, but it's never been more true to the current state of K-pop, and that's why it deserves all its flowers.